Well, hello, and welcome to Trash with a Capital T. I'm your host, Bobby. And today we are going to be talking about a book I read while I was on vacation. I went to California, to LA, to visit my stepson. And of course, I needed some LA appropriate reading. So I read Sweet Valley High. I think this is a super thriller. It does not say it on the book, but I believe it is. A Sweet Valley High Murder in Paradise while I was there. Yeah, the reason I say I think it's a super thriller is because it's a little longer and it does not have a number on it. Let me see. I want to say it's like Super Thriller 15. Or no, it's not even that one. Super Thriller number 8. And this actually takes place later in the run. Although I will say, as with most Sweet Valley books, you can jump in kind of anywhere. There are some story arcs, especially as they move towards the later books. They try and break them into like trilogies or duologies. But this is one you could just jump right in. It came out in 1995. It was written by, I want to say it's Kate Williams. Copyright, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, written by Kate Williams. Kate Williams was a long time ghostwriter for, although I'm going to say not really ghostwriter because her name is not there. Ah, go to the page I need. Right there, written by Kate Williams. Francine Pascal, as I said in my YA book recommendation video, she created the series. She was an established author before this, but she created the series. She did not necessarily write most of the books. I don't know if she actually wrote any of the original run books. She did write, for sure she wrote the Sweet Valley Confidential books that came out later when all the characters are adults, but she didn't write most of these. But this one I had to read. I had actually heard an episode of, I want to say Teen Creeps covered this one. And it's Sweet Valley meets a mad scientist, but also deals with the subject of plastic surgery. Deals with it oh so well. Okay. So, just to give you a general plot breakdown, the book follows Jessica and Elizabeth Wakefield, who are going on a special week-long trip to Paradise Spa with their mother, Alice, with Jessica's best friend, Lila, with Elizabeth's best friend, Enid, and Lila's mother, Grace. The spa seems wonderful. All of the people who work there are young and beautiful, except for the person who owns the spa. Oh my god, what is her name? Hold on. She has this very interesting name. I'll find it at some point. She kind of is deeply scarred, has frizzy red hair. She stands out because in this sea of beauty, she is very normal looking. And as they're there, they start to realize things are not as beautiful as they seem. There is a dark undercurrent making its way through Paradise Spa, from the people who work there to the treatments that they're getting. This is not a high stakes, high action book. It's pretty low action. It's quite slow. It was enjoyable though. The writing is. Kate Williams wrote a ton of these books, so she knew these characters backwards and forwards. So the character voices are she's quite comfortable with them. We're gonna get into spoilers when we talk about this. If you want to read it, go read it. You gotta buy a used copy. There is no digital that I'm aware of. It's definitely not in print anymore. But go read it. Come back, watch the rest of this if that's what you want. Otherwise, spoiler territory from here on out. So it turns out that the manager, whose name I cannot remember, and I don't want to fish through this book to find, is actually an insane plastic surgeon who knew Alice Wakefield, Elizabeth and Jessica's mother, in college and was obsessed with her. So now she wants to have Alice's face. And the scarring that she has is because she had previously had a plastic surgeon attempt to do it and the surgeries failed. So she has created this whole spa to lure Alice in so that she could basically take Alice's face and steal her identity. What's also happening is all of these beautiful young people who work there are runaways that have been brought in and have been beautified through plastic surgery. They've also been brainwashed through hypnotism. I mean, it is pure mad scientist gobbledygook, and I ate it up. It does, one of the things with the super thrillers or any of the longer editions, these can drag a little because these books are supposed to be like 150 pages, under 200 pages. This one drags towards the end, especially because once we figured it out, we don't need to be continuously reminded of what is going on. The characters themselves, we get a lot of time with Enid in this one, who is Elizabeth's best friend. She is kind of, you have Lila, who is very rich, beautiful, searching for like, who's Jessica's best friend, who's searching for like a rich bachelor there. And there's actually a funny side story that Lila kind of has. But really, outside of the twins, we spend a good chunk of time with Enid. Enid is interesting to me because she is kind of the more plain Jane character. Now, I will say they do make an attempt with Elizabeth specifically talking to her about like, no, you're pretty in your own way. You're uniquely you. You're you. Yes, you have freckles and red hair and all of that, but that's what makes you you. You're beautiful as you are. And Elizabeth really pushes this. The problem is Elizabeth is literally described as one of the most beautiful people to ever exist. She's like tall, thin, curvy in the right spots, blonde, blue-eyed, the stereotypical California beauty. And Enid's like, yeah, it's easy for you to say that. You don't have to walk through life being ignored. So Enid kind of gets pulled into the whole trap. There's some interesting stuff here. I got to point this out just because I'm holding this book up and I'm flapping it around. This is the cover art. It is not great, but there is this weird ass step back art. This never happens in the book. Ever. Don't know who that dude is. Maybe it's Chris, the golf pro who Elizabeth kind of has a fling with. But he never does that. Elizabeth never gets grabbed by some dude in a waterfall while they're all swimming and chatting and having fun. But yes, so you have all of this stuff going on with Enid. She really gets the bulk of she has her own side plot, but it really plays into revealing the bigger mystery. We watch her fall under the manager's control and we learn how how the manager brainwashes people through Enid. Elizabeth's story mostly follows her flirtation relationship with this golf pro named Chris, who is this very handsome guy, very nice, sweet, kind of bland. The issue I always have with these is she's like, well, I'm on vacation, so I'm going to have fun. She's in a relationship. She's dating Todd Williams. Again, like, their relationship status, Todd and Elizabeth's relationship status is, I mean, they're teenagers. It's actually probably believable that they'd make up, break up as much as they do. Sorry, I am sweating something fierce right now. Yeah. So you have that whole storyline. Jessica's stuff is a little more comedy. If you have never read one of these books, you have to understand Jessica Wakefield is a sociopath. As Elizabeth is a goody two-shoes doormat, Jessica Wakefield is the teenage girl version of Andrew Bateman, or Patrick Bateman, Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. She's not that bad, but she is a vicious, backstabby sociopath. And her whole thing was she's just searching to have a fling with one of the guys, one of the hot guys who works at the spa, namely this guy named Alex, who has this like beach blonde surfer look. There's not much there. And her and Lila are just kind of like this bitchy little duo who keeps making comments about everyone. Yeah, they're not nice. They're definitely the mean girls. But Lila's storyline is probably my favorite little side note. She is trying to talk to this rich looking bachelor who's at the spa, and he seems to be alone, but she can never talk to him. And then finally, she goes to talk to him, and it turns out he's everything she wants. He's handsome, he's rich, he's a Hollywood producer, casting director, or something. The only problem is he apparently has the voice of Mickey Mouse. And she has to run screaming from that one. It was a very enjoyable side plot. And Lila, it kind of worked for the poor little rich girl Lila to have the goofiest plot in all of this. Um, yeah, I mean, it's pure fluff. It's pure fluff, but I just love the mad scientist angle. These books are enjoyable. They do sometimes, and this one tries to have a message about inner beauty and about accepting yourself. It's really hard to take that message when you are constantly describing your main characters as some of the most beautiful people in existence. But I get what they were going for. Um, you don't have as much. I've read way worse. The 90s YA books, the body shaming, the fat shaming that those books were loaded with. This one doesn't do that bad. I was surprised that it didn't dip as far into it as it could. There are some characters where there's comments about their weight, but generally it's coming from Jessica and she's a bitch, so, take that with a grain of salt. There's discussions of like healthy eating and stuff like that. They try and not be irresponsible when dealing with the subject. There's definitely a very anti plastic surgery message in here, which was very 95. But yeah, it's fluff. I mean, and it's enjoyable fluff. It was perfect beach reading. It was fun. I kind of left out one of the most important plot points, but it's such a non-plot point. Okay, so murder in paradise. There is a murder. There is actually a murder. Although how this person dies, I don't know. It's never made clear how, in fact, they die. But there is one of the workers at the spa is named Katya. And she is this very sweet girl. She bonds with Elizabeth. She kind of bonds with the whole group. And we learn she's the first one to reveal that she's a runaway and she regrets it. She misses her mother. So Elizabeth is like, well, why don't you go home? Katya's like, I can't leave. But she's the one who starts spilling all the secrets about Paradise Spa. And eventually Katya is going to talk to Alice Wakefield, Elizabeth's mother. But before she can, she is found dead in a steam room. And I think it's implied she had a heart attack or something. But I actually don't know how she died. They never really clarify how she is murdered. But she is. And she is one of the catalysts to kind of set everything off at the end. Her death is. And it's appropriately handled. I will say the characters do kind of mourn her. It's not like, oh, she's dead, moving on, which sometimes, not these books specifically, but a lot of the 90s YA books can be like, oh, they're dead. Oh, well. The characters do react to it. Katya is an interesting character. She doesn't... I hesitate to call her a full-fledged character, but she is an interesting side character. You get a little detail with her. One of the things that kind of bugged me is, okay, as I stated, all of the kids working at Paradise Spa are runaways. And the Wakefield response, even after some of these kids, Chris specifically, it's like, well, I came from an abusive home. Well, maybe give them a second chance. No. Now, it is most likely that those memories were implanted into their heads by the manager of Paradise Spa. But still, you do not tell someone who's like, I was abused by my family. You don't go to them and go, well, maybe they're not that bad. What? No. That is an irresponsible message. Come on. It is very 90s. It's like, well, just talk to your family. Maybe you could talk through it. Talk through abuse. Yes. Okay. Come on. I read that and it very much felt like After School Specially, TV movie of the week. Like, well, maybe if you just talk to your parents, they'll stop beating you. Come on, guys. Now, like I said, most likely their parents are not abusive. That it is all of this stuff has just been kind of implanted into their minds by the manager because of the brainwashing. But it was one of those things where it's just like, you got to be real careful with how you write that, guys. Just because the problem with any messaging in these books is that Elizabeth and Jessica, and they were not having these discussions back then, but let's just be honest, they are the most privileged characters you can write. They are wealthy. They come from an affluent area in I want to say it's probably like Orange County, that kind of vibe, like that kind of world. They are literally the picture of beauty standards of the 90s. Like, they are literally, that part does actually get kind of called out in this one by Enid several times. They're the picture of privilege. So anytime they're like, well, maybe it's not that bad. I mean, my parents and I fight sometimes. They don't fart, they fight. No one in this world farts. It's Sweet Valley High does not have farts. I don't know. That's a random aside, um, so their argument every time, like, well, maybe it's not that bad. It's like, how would you know? How would you? Yes, one of your friends died by snorting cocaine. Okay, like they've had their share of drama. People have been kidnapped, framed for murders, all of that. So sure, but like, you are also the picture of privilege. So yeah, there's that. But still, I can't dig into this too far because these weren't meant to be really dug into. It does give you a real good idea of kind of the messages that were being pushed to young girls in 1995. Like, we're starting to get into body positivity a little bit, but there's still definitely some fat shaming. You have all of that floating around in the book. It's still there. You do have, like, well, maybe if you only eat cottage cheese and run 3 miles, you'll be happy with yourself. So there are shades of that. You do definitely get that idea. And again, the whole message with like, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe if you talked it through, the abuse will stop. That kind of stuff does pop up. And it's not just here. That is not an uncommon trope. It has probably been handled better in other material. So, would I recommend Sweet Valley High, Murder in Paradise? Yeah, I would. I would say go into this with some familiarity of this series. Like, don't start here, maybe. I mean, you could. You get enough backstory on everybody that you could jump in here and not be completely lost. We're not dealing with a huge cast of characters. Which is actually one of the nice things of jumping into a thriller like this. We're not getting the full cast. We're getting a very small portion of the cast. So we're able to connect to them pretty quickly, but I would recommend maybe starting with Double Love or some of the earlier books to kind of establish who everyone is. Because Jessica and Elizabeth and Alice, the Wakefield family is established pretty early on. So is Enid. So is Lila. Their families are kind of there. These are characters that have been around from the beginning. So they have a lot of history. I would say maybe start a little earlier, but if you do want it, if this one is the one where you're like, no, I want the mad scientist book, it's not a terrible place to start, but understand most of the books are not like this. This is definitely longer. There's a little more development in here with the side characters because of that. It also does not take place in Sweet Valley, so you don't get a lot of the regular Sweet Valley locations. You know, it may not be the best place, but I would recommend it. I had fun with it. Is it a 5-star read? No. I think this ended up being like a 3-star. I'd say 3.5 stars. It's enjoyable. It's slow. Because a big part of these books was the drama, the relationship drama. So it's Elizabeth and her budding relationship with Chris, and Jessica stealing Alex from Enid. And like, you have a lot of that. You have a lot of the teen drama. And I get a kick out of it. It's very soap opera. So I would definitely say, yeah, this is a fun one. I know there's some stinkers in the series. The series is like hundreds of books long. So there's going to be some stinkers. But this one was fun. It definitely leaves a little to be desired as far as the thriller part goes. But for a goofy teen drama set at a spa with a mad scientist, it gave me like Invitation to Hell vibes a little bit. Definitely check it out. Highly recommend just checking out Sweet Valley in general, and we will for sure be seeing more of this series on the channel. This will probably pop up just like the Left Behind the Kids books are popping up. Sweet Valley will probably pop up a couple more times. I do really like these books. I have fun reading them. They are nice little mental health cleansers, and a lot of them are available on Kindle Unlimited, so you can jump into the series without a lot of without a big commitment. Also, the first 10 books are available on Kindle, but I think I actually got this swapped. The first 10-ish books, maybe 14 books, are available on Kindle, but you have to purchase them. There are also physical copies that you can buy. I think those are still in print. I will say be careful because some of them have been updated. So things like cell phones and stuff have been added in, which would not have been there when they were originally published in the 80s. I'm not hyper bothered by that, but if you read them and then you get to the later books, which were not updated, and suddenly everyone is back to using cassettes and having landlines, it could be a bit of a shock if you didn't know that that was what was going on. I highly recommend checking out the Sweet Valley series. They are a time capsule for sure. They are dated. They have, like with everything from that time, they have problematic elements, but they're fun. They are very fun, and they are good quality relaxing reading because you don't have to shut your brain off completely, but they are good quick reads. If you need to get out of a reading slump, books like this are stuff that can push me out of a reading slump because it doesn't take a lot to complete the book, and you still are involved with the plot, and I enjoy the characters, as goofy as some of them are. And as shallow as some of them are, I do enjoy spending time in that world. It's the same thing with like the Fear Street books. I love those books for the same reason. They aren't the deepest. They weren't written to be the deepest. But they're quick little thrillers and horror novels that you can get through, and they get you back on track of reading again. They're great for pushing you out of reading slumps. So Sweet Valley will probably pop up multiple times on this channel, as I have a whole backpack full of them. I'll show you. Hold on. My chair does not roll very well, so screw it. I have a backpack. Actually, let me pull it up since I was going to grab it. Pardon my old man grunts. So I have a box for all my romance books, and I have a backpack for all of my 90s YA books that I keep in here. I have a backpack full of those. So when I cycle out of reading 90s YA, So let me re-say what I was saying to the microphone. So when I cycle out of reading 90s YA, I have a backlog. So when my brain is like, hey, guess what? You need to read some of this to like calm down or relax. I've got a stockpile. Okay, guys. This video has gone on long enough. So here's the general gist of how I end on my videos. New videos for the channel are posted every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We post them every week, and by we, I mean me, because it's just me running this channel. All right, guys. Love what you love. Enjoy what you're reading and watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have an amazing morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye, guys.